The consumer debt problem in the United States is something that is a huge concern. It's been a growing problem over the past several years, really the past several decades, but over the past 5 years, it has grown considerably, just like our national debt problem. And to put into perspective, as of the most recent Federal Reserve data in June of 2025, they determined that Americans are now in $1.21 trillion of credit card debt. And I remember last year making a video talking about how it was 1.17. Now it's 1.21 billion. And it just continues to climb. And it's unfortunately, it's not just credit card debt. It is all forms of consumer debt. We're talking mortgage debt and non-mortgage debt, as you can see by this chart right here. Things started actually getting a little bit better between 2008 and 2014 when debt levels of all kinds started to go down, including mortgage debt, because we had that big, great financial crisis that was kind of like a big reset for people. But now you can see it has just exploded ever since then, with the last 5 years being the most notable. And according to this Federal Reserve data, Americans between 40 and 49 years old are holding on to the most credit card debt at about 283 billion, which is up 9.1% from just 1 year ago. That's also the largest increase among all age groups between 2023 to 2024. So you would think it would be the younger generations who are holding on to the most debt, right? Because they make the least amount of money. They kind of go out and spend money on frivolous things, haven't really learned the lessons of life yet, but nope. 40 to 49, guys, are the worst offenders when it comes to credit card debt in this country. In fact, to my surprise, the youngest generation actually owes the least amount of money in credit card debt. 18 to 29-year-olds, they only have 90.9 billion, which is only up 1% from the year before. And not only are the 40 to 49-year-olds holding the highest amount of credit card debt, they're also holding the highest amount of household and overall debt. They're just in the most debt. In some ways, it makes sense because you've had the most time to accumulate it and you're still in your working years. On the other hand, this should be the prime of your life in terms of your earnings and being able to eliminate some of this debt. So it's kind of shocking that people are carrying this much of it. And the total household debt includes things like mortgages, student loans, credit cards, auto loans, home equity lines of credit, and other types of debt. And today I'm going to be walking along Bridgeway Drive, showing you guys waterfront views here in Sausalito, California. It's actually a really hot day here today. It's like 85 degrees, which is pretty hot for the Bay Area, especially Sausalito. So if I could just jump in that water right now and then get out and resume the video, I totally would. And here's why I'm surprised by these figures, because according to another report, 2 in 5 young adults are taking on debt just in order to impress their friends, in order to kind of look cool on social media, or maybe look cool in front of a date, whatever. A new study shows that 2 in 5 Gen Zers admit to going into debt to impress others, often in dating and social situations, according to Credit One Bank. They say that the pressure to perform financially is high among younger generations, where 51% of millennials and Gen Z say that they have faked wealth or success, and that they have damaged their credit score or gone into debt to impress someone. I mean, I knew Americans were materialistic, but I had no idea that literally half of people my age and younger are doing this just to try to look rich, so to speak. In fact, 37% of these young people even said that they would overdraft their bank account in order to impress a first date. And of course, young men feel this pressure more than women. And 46% of young men say that they would go into debt for a single date versus only 28% of women. Here's also something kind of shocking about this. Take a look at this chart about when millennials and Gen Z thinks it's time to talk about finances in a relationship. Only 5% say when it becomes social media official. 40% say after discussing serious future plans. Well, that's okay, I suppose. 7% say never, 9% say within the first 1 to 3 dates, 14% say only if we decide to combine finances, big mistake by the way, and 25% say when formally making the relationship exclusive or official. So at least most young people realize the importance of talking about finances at some point in the relationship before it gets too far along. And about 54% of Gen Z and millennials prefer not to share their financial information with a partner until things get serious, which I think is kind of fair. I mean, why would you need to disclose anything if it's not really serious, right? At the same time, I can see how somebody would be hesitant to be serious with somebody if they don't know the full picture, right? You decide to take the next step and you want to get more serious only to find out that the other person has $100,000 in unpaid debt. It's not a very attractive prospect. And surprisingly enough, only 8% of younger folks say that a poor financial history is a marriage deal breaker. So I'm surprised that not many people are willing to kind of toss somebody to the side if they're not in good shape financially, because after all, if you marry somebody who's in bad financial shape, they become your problem. And you're going to kind of inherit all of that debt along with the person. 48% say that they would marry someone with a shaky financial past, especially if the person was improving. Now that's a little bit different. You know, if they made mistakes in the past and they're continuously doing better and they recognize mistakes of the past and they're not going to repeat them, well, that's a totally different thing. And get this, surprise, surprise, 47% of men are more forgiving, while women are twice as likely to reject a partner over money issues. Wow, what a shocker there. I mean, the reality is here, guys, if you're going to settle down with anybody, no matter how attractive they might be, you need to understand what their financial picture looks like, preferably sooner rather than later. I mean, obviously, it's not a question you're probably going to bring up on the first or second date, but hopefully by the third or maybe after that, it at least comes up a little bit, because you can end up walking way too far down the road with this person only to find out that they're a serial spender, that they can't control their finances, that they're always in debt, that they have a bunch of unpaid student loans or have maxed out their credit card bills. You don't want to find that out after dating somebody for 6 months. And debt is really the topic of conversation today, because student loan debt has been another huge problem for younger people who have graduated college over the past few years. And we're seeing more and more borrowers continue to miss payments. And on top of that, the interest on the Save Plan loans is back, which also affects millions of Americans. And about 6 million Americans are at least 3 months behind on their federal student loan payments, according to research from TransUnion right now. 6 million people behind, guys. I mean, what do you do with that information? The Student Aid Office is warning that many delinquent borrowers are likely to start defaulting on their student loans in the coming months, which really isn't a big surprise. And this student loan debt is starting to shape the rest of their financial life in terms of their choices about housing, their choices about transportation, and even their long-term goals and their regular everyday spending habits. So the day that you miss a payment on a student loan right now, your loan is considered delinquent. And after 90 days, it is reported to the credit bureaus. So that's when it starts really affecting your borrowing potential for any other type of loans in the future as well. It's going to start bringing your credit score down, which is going to make you a higher credit risk, which means either no loan for you, or if you do get one, it's going to be a lower loan amount at a higher interest rate.